Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Reviewing Your Mon series. In this episode, we're going to be going over this Weepinbell. Now, the user on this, or the owner of this Weepinbell, chose to remain anonymous, but that is perfectly acceptable as per the terms of the form. So that's all great. Now, they simply just asked they need tomatoes and leeks. Is it worth leveling at the 50? Worth leveling to the 50, 60 50 or 60 block point for in the Christmas event. Now, I've got some interesting ideas about this Weepinbell. It's gave me some things to think about, and realistically, after looking it over, now it's got really good ingredient finding stats, especially at level 50. But unfortunately, it does have a speed of help down nature. Now, speed of help down though is not the end of the world, especially on an ingredient specialist. They don't care as speed is good on everything. Don't get me wrong. But it's not as impactful as something like a berry specialist. The percentages are still the same, but ultimately ingredient finding is going to matter more in the long run. But unfortunately, what you're getting out of it, main skill chance up, just doesn't really help all that much on a victory bell. They're usually alright in terms of energy anyway. And they said they need tomatoes and leeks, but I guess the question is really, what are you looking for when it comes to tomatoes, and what are you looking for when it comes to leeks? Now, I like to consult this chart quite a bit. It shows just all the meals laid out really well, and it really shows you, if you look across all the meals in the game, there isn't a single meal currently in the game that takes both tomatoes and leeks. Now, one really nice thing about mixed ingredient specialists is when they have synergistic ingredients, and tomatoes and leeks really don't have that. So I'm not a huge fan of the leeks on a victory bell, but it does have a double A option as well for producing tomatoes before that point. And you know what, maybe if it produces enough tomatoes anyway, with just the first two slots, then maybe it doesn't matter that it's got leeks in the third slot. But pretty much no matter what you're making, you're not going to really be using the tomatoes and the leeks unless you're doing like a split in meal, like where you're making two different meals in the same week, which there might be some builds for that with like the hidden power perk of stew and the spicy leek curry, but you're looking at really complex team building when you get into that. So I guess that's my primary problem with it, and to really show that off, I've brought this up here. Now, I assumed for this, you told me that you were a premium pass player. I plugged in for good camp ticket, assuming that you're looking at event weeks for what you want to be making. And realistically, this victory bell, or if you evolve it once, now it was caught as a Weepinbell, as you can see by the skill level here. I did account for that and put it down its inventory a little bit. If you run this victory bell through the calculator, if you have just an average level 6 healer, I don't have healers accounted for on the forms, so maybe that's a weakness, but maybe I'll be adding that soon. But looking through that, if you just get it to level 30 and make it a victory bell, it's producing 74 tomatoes a day. As long as you're running it with good camp ticket and a decent healer. You probably don't even really need the healer, to be honest, because it's got skill chance up. Let's see, how does it compare without the healer? It does go down to 67, but you run that alongside a Pokemon with helping bonus, or even a bad to mid healer. Even if it's just one proc a day, you're looking at 72. So, realistically, you're getting the tomatoes you need out of it, because the meal that takes the most amount of tomatoes in the entire game currently only uses 25. And if you think about long-term investments, then you know what, maybe you want something that produces more tomatoes because it's immune to power creep in a way. There's never going to be a meal that... There could be meals that take more tomatoes in the future. But if you want this as a short-term investment, I would really recommend just sticking it to level 30, because are you really going to need more than this is what the question comes down to. If you intend to be swapping it around quite a bit, then it could be the play to get it up to level 50, where it's producing a significant amount more tomatoes, because as you can see here, that's where you unlock the ingredient finding M. But overall, it's not the best victory bell, and having that C ingredient, if you get it to level 60, suddenly it's now dropping below the target goal of 25 tomatoes a day. Granted, it's making pretty much every other tomato meal in the game because, you know, it's overall pretty good at ingredient finding. But I don't see a reason to take this thing to level 60. Or even level 50, per se, if you aren't using the extra tomato production to be able to swap it around. So, I guess my recommendation, I probably wouldn't suggest dumping a boatload of dream shards to get this thing to level 50 ASAP or level 60 ASAP. It may feel like you need leeks, but the leek output on this thing, I mean, yeah, that's enough for 12 per dish, which can make you the ninja curry. But you're producing so many tomatoes on the side that are going to be getting wasted, and there are better options for leeks. Granted, that can be difficult to catch. You work with what you got. But we're talking about level 60. That's a lot of dream shards of investment. And I wouldn't ever recommend a whole work with what you got circumstance with something that's this kind of like mid in terms of leek production. Especially when you'd be harming it in what it does well, which is the tomatoes. So this is one of the few circumstances where I actually recommend not leveling up the Pokemon past level 60. It can be kind of annoying to manage their level because you feel like you're going to ruin it if you just level it one too much. But ultimately, it's pretty easy to do if you're easy to avoid. Pokemon level very, very slowly in this game, so that's ultimately my recommendation. If one day a meal with both tomatoes and leeks comes out, then you know what? This thing will be right there in your box. Don't ever get rid of it, because it is actually pretty good with that double ingredient or with that double ingredients in the sub skills, and eventually help speed S in level 100. Granted, that's years away, but it is something to consider, perhaps. But yeah, that's what this Victreebel looks like. That's my assessment. I wouldn't take it all the way to 60, maybe level 50 if you need that many tomatoes. But honestly, it's going to do you pretty well even at level 30. So, it might not be worth the Dream Shards. Might be if you need it, but thank you for submitting the Victreebel, and I hope that you learned something. So, if you guys have enjoyed the video, please leave a like, subscribe. As always, there's the form in the comment or in the description here. Please go give it a fill out if you want to submit a Pokemon for me to possibly review. As always, I thank you guys for watching and hope that you have a wonderful day. Bye-bye now.